out of work and looking for jobs. We talked about the millions of Americans who are in that position, and we've got this story tracked by Lindsay Duncombe in Washington, our business host Scott Peterson in Toronto. And let's begin with you, Lindsay. In the U.S., that huge jobless number, 6.6 million Americans. They filed claims for unemployment benefits last week. It's a record high for a second week in a row. The question is, what could it mean for a president who has until recently been all about getting the economy restarted? What are you seeing there, Lindsay? How big a deal is this?
This is a staggering number of job losses, greater than even the grim projections that we were expecting for unemployment claims in a one-week period. It is double the number of claims that were made last week. And when you add it up all together, in a two-week period, we have close to 10 million people looking for work and seeking unemployment benefits. And they're having a hard time doing it. The real number may actually be higher because in many cases, the systems are so overwhelmed when people call for benefits that it takes them a number of tries to be able to actually get in on the system and file their claim. And these numbers don't reflect the most recent shutdowns. Remember that Florida is shut down for the entire state. Parts of the state had been closed for business. That doesn't come into full effect until tomorrow. So a big state like Florida will likely mean a continued increase in people seeking employment numbers. So this is certainly something that will concern the White House. We know in anticipation of bad numbers last week, the president had mused about reopening the economy by Easter. His tone has totally shifted now as the death toll continues to rise and the economic problem continues to grow.
And what about that $2 trillion in relief funding from last week? Is that going to be enough?
It won't necessarily be enough, but it will start to help. What's interesting about that package is it does account for people in other sectors that unemployment wouldn't necessarily cover, such as people who are freelancers or work in the gig economy. There's loans as part of that package that are supposed to be for businesses in order to keep people on the payroll. So they can apply for these loans so that they don't have to lay anyone off. So that may mean some relief, but there's a large sense that $2 trillion is not going to be enough. Already we've seen Nancy Pelosi on the Hill say she wants to start working on a fourth reiteration of a stimulus package. There's been musing about infrastructure, but senior Republicans really want to get this one out the door first before they start moving on what comes next. Will there be something next from the government? I think that's pretty clear.
All right, we'll talk again. Thank you, Lindsay. CBC's Lindsay Duncombe in Washington. Let's check our home port. As I mentioned, we've got Scott Peterson standing by. He is our business host. Scott, we are not expecting Canadian job numbers to come out until next week. Of course, we'll all be watching that, but should we brace ourselves?
We should indeed. I mean, these are historic numbers, as Lindsay was saying, 6.6 million. That's double the record, and it was only the week before at 3.3. So these are tough times, and economists are saying get ready to see this coming forward for the next few months. But we know that 2 million Canadians are out of work so far or have applied for unemployment insurance. But there's another worrying number out just this morning from the Restaurants Canada Association representing workers across the country. So according to them, 800,000 restaurant jobs so far have been lost just since the beginning of March. That represents 2/3 of the membership at Restaurants Canada. So if this does not bode well for those numbers that we're expecting out next week, but they are going to be, there's no other word for it, ugly. And these are real numbers, and they include real people behind them, but we are expecting it to be severe and probably, again, one for the record books.